Morning everybody, how you all doing? So I watched UKIP's Spaces on X last night. Had listened to what Nick Tenconi had to say and other people. He was taking questions from the audience, which is pretty good. And they were talking about unity. And it seems that in the background, Nick Tenconi has been trying to unite everybody, reaching out to Rupert Lowe, Ben Habib, some of the other parties, and he's getting no response. We all know why. I've covered this in previous videos. I don't need to go over that again. But yeah, and from reading between the lines on anything that Nick was saying, it seems like he's just not getting enough candidates coming forward to build on anything. And without candidates coming forward, you haven't got a party. It's that simple. And he's projecting. I mean, he said last night in the Spaces that, you know, whether they're in government in 2029 or 2034. So he's projecting that, you know, UKIP may or may not be in government within the next 8 years. And you've got to ask yourself, and this is a timescale all the other parties have got as well, all these other little parties, because they'll be facing the same issues that UKIP is realistically, will they come into power in time to save the country? That's what you've got to ask yourself. And this is what's leading me to be less and less optimistic about a political solution out of this. Another interesting thing that I find is that Tommy Robinson came out and endorsed Rupert Lowe. That's all well and good, I understand that. But his Restore UK, Rupert Lowe's Restore UK, is the exact same thing as Ben Habib's Great British PAC. Now the main difference between the two is that the Great British PAC, you don't have to pay a membership or anything like that in order to put forward policy for consideration or vote on policy. That's what it was designed to do. And like, I think it was one of the because I was reading all about it yesterday, because this is going to lead me on to something. I was reading all about it yesterday because I think it's one of the founders of the Great British PAC came forward and was saying that we don't want to put barriers in front of people. We don't want to put paywalls in front of people. We want them to be able to come forward because people can't afford it at the minute. You know, 20 quid may not seem like a lot of money, but for some people it is at the minute. They can't afford to do it. And so if people want to put policy forward, you know, they should be able to do it for free. And I agree with that. And this is regards to both of them, the Great British PAC and Restore UK, they can only put pressure on. The government doesn't even have to listen to them. And depending on the size of the group, that depends how much influence they have. So you pay membership for Restore UK to put forward policies which may or may not even be considered by the government. They could just ignore it. And you've got to think, looking at this present government, do you really think they're going to look at anything? They're not, are they? They're set in their ways. They don't care. They don't care about the people of this country. They don't care about looking at different policies. People think it's incompetence with the Labour government. It's not. They're there to manage the decline of this country. That's their job. So there's no way in hell they're going to do anything which would benefit us, the people, or would create an environment which would start to see the recovery of this country. They're not into that. That's just the facts of the situation. And talking about the Great British PAC and Restore UK, I think there's been a bit of a falling out behind the scenes between Rupert Lowe and Ben Habib. I think that's why Rupert Lowe hasn't joined with Ben Habib. I think they've fallen out over the implementation of Restore UK, because it is exactly the same thing as the Great British PAC. And Ben Habib retweeted the guy's tweet who said you shouldn't have to pay to put policy forward or consider policy. And that was a dig at Rupert Lowe's Restore UK. So all is not well between Ben Habib and Rupert Lowe. They may be putting on the public persona of, oh, everything's okay, we support each other. But I think behind the scenes, I think it's a very different story. I do. And I'll say this as well, right? Tommy Robinson came out and endorsed Rupert Lowe. It'll be very interesting to see if either of those two gentlemen, Ben Habib and Rupert Lowe, can get on the stage in September with Tommy Robinson, Mr. Magpie, and talk about issues. If they decline or don't get on the stage with Tommy Robinson, then I think that pretty much shows who they are as people. Oh yeah, they'll say he can join the party and that sort of thing. Ben Habib will say I can join the party. Well, that's a far removed thing from saying, yeah, I'm going to stand on the stage with the guy and make a speech at his free speech rally. I think 13th of September, is it? And Ant Middleton, he's thrown in supporting, and the other Reform mayoral candidate, I think it's that boxer guy, they've put down they want to speak on stage at the free speech rally. So as Dan Mutton was saying yesterday, does that now exclude them both from being Reform candidates, for mayoral candidates for London Mayor? Because under Nigel Farage's rules, they're out of the party now. They can't be considered as candidates for the party because they've thrown down support for Tommy Robinson. It's all very interesting, isn't it? It's all very interesting what's going on at the minute. Very interesting. Like I said, the true test of Ben Habib and Rupert Lowe's character will be if they can get on stage with Tommy Robinson on the 13th of September and show their support. And I'm going to say this as well. I know that Nick Tenconi has been calling for unity in private, has been reaching out to different parties in private, but that needs to be public. Somebody needs to come out with these little parties and say, look, I'm putting my differences aside, I'm calling for unity, we all need to unite. And it doesn't matter if any other parties don't take up the gauntlet and stand side by side with the person who says that, because whoever says that is proving that they want to put this country first and not their own egos. And that will garner more support than just standing your ground and just putting your ego before your country. That needs to happen. Publicly show that you want unity, and you'll either shame the other parties into joining you and standing side by side with you, or it'll prove their intentions as well. Because if they won't stand side by side with you after you've called for unity, then what good are they? What good are they? Because that's not putting country first, that's putting your own ego first and your own agenda. And we've had enough of that. We've seen enough of that with Labour and the Conservative Party and the Reform Party. We don't need any more of that, we really don't. And Nick Tenconi was right. He understands the people. He said patriots have got fatigue. We've got political fatigue. We've had enough. We've had enough of buzzwords. We've had enough of saying things. We want action. We want to see these people uniting and coming forward as one common force. Because every video I've made, they come into the supporters come into the comments and they're saying, vote for this party, vote for that party. It's not going to work. It's not going to work, guys. Unless you unite and come together under one banner. And I'm not saying you have to merge as a party. You can come together as one banner and be like an alliance. Just like we had in World War II. An alliance to fight the common enemy. That's what we need. Because basically, the only thing that separates any of you, I've said this before, is your party name and your leader. Your policies are all the same. Literally all the same. You want the same thing. You want sovereignty, you want democracy, you want our country back, you want to save our culture and way of life. You all want the same thing. So for the life of me, I don't understand why you're not uniting and coming together as an alliance. And let's not forget, let's end this video on a positive note today, right? We have been around as a people, and I'm talking about English now, as, you know, 1,000 years. We've been around for 1,000 years. And that's something to be proud of. We should be proud of that fact. We've been on these lands for 1,000 years. Do we really want to see all that rich culture, all that progress that we've made over those 1,000 years disappear simply because people are arguing over who wants to save the country? Is that a sacrifice we want to make? You need to ask yourselves that question, to look in the mirror and say, is that the sacrifice you want to make? Do you want to sacrifice the country and all its heritage and all those people that have gone before that have shed blood, tears and sweat to make this country what it is, just because you can't put your ego to one side and come together as an alliance and save this country? That's something for you all to think about. This is Vindicator, sign off.